Hello, everybody. We have Nadia here from 𝙇𝙤𝙮, and I'm joined today with 𝙇𝙤𝙮 Ronan from Y&B Health and Wellness.
Hey Nadia, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm amazing, thank you.
That's good. So 𝙇𝙮 is a neurotransformation therapy practitioner and timeline therapy coach. And he also runs his own health and wellness and boxing studio down on Bondi Beach. He is the creator of the Footprints Retreat, which we'll speak about a little bit later. And tonight we're talking about the topic of chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia. So this is going to be great. It's good to hear your story at last. So we've been waiting a little while on that, and I'm looking forward to getting some hints and tricks so that we can help our audience as well.
Yeah, look, this is a very personal topic for me. First of all, thank you for joining me tonight and having me, Nadia. It's great to see you again. Chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia was something that I'd experienced for the first time back in when I was a pastry chef at the Gelato at Bondi Beach. I just finished serving my apprenticeship and I was training in boxing with PCYC Paddington under trainer Charlie Smith. And my training program was very strenuous. And as you can imagine, early hours of working in a bakery, usually we'd open up the bakery at 6 a.m. where everyone would arrive and would be finished by 2 p.m. So I'd usually go for a run down the beach or for a long road run early in the morning. And then by 5 o'clock, I'd be finished. I'd be home showering and stuff like that and have my breakfast. And I'd be at work like 5:30 or 5:45 before 6 and finish by 2, come home, have a sleep, and then back in the boxing gym in the evening. So it was a really vigorous boxing program. And at first it was really fine. You know, when I had my first fight and I won, I felt really energized. I was really enjoying everything. And it wasn't until the second year that I started feeling run down and I just felt that I wasn't running the same times that I was timing myself when I was doing the road runs and stuff like that. I was feeling aches and pain. I wasn't able to recover and from one session to the next as I usually did in the past. And as a result, rather than having a break and stuff like that, I kept pushing. And over time, I got more and more run down until I got a really bad flu. And back then, education for me in regards to like access to internet, and I just wasn't really aware of all this stuff, about medicine and chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia. So I had the flu, and I think I took about a week and a half off, and I expected the flu to just naturally go away. I had no idea about adrenal glands or anything like that, and your thyroid. These were words I just had no idea about. I've never heard of, And after having a rest for about a week and a half, I went back to work and started working, and I resumed training again. And when I went out to my road runs, I noticed I just wasn't getting the same times as I usually did. Naturally, I thought, well, you've had a week and a half off. You probably need to just stay consistent at it and keep going. And that's what I did. But over time, I realized that the times were slower than what they really were. And I was feeling more fatigued and more run down. And instead of having a complete break and having a proper rest and getting a blood test and getting a proper diagnosis from a trained professional, I increased my program from 9 times a week to 11 times a week. And the only day I really had off, excuse me, was a Sunday. And although I worked in the bakery on Sunday, that afternoon I wouldn't train. So realistically, I was working 6 days a week in the bakery, having one day off, which was Monday, which I was still training on Monday, twice a day. And it resulted in me getting really fatigued and really run down. And by that point, I had to stop, and I had to stop my boxing. And that was probably about 3 months after I won the New South Wales novice amateur title as a bantamweight. under the guidance of Charlie Smith at Paddington PCYC. And so, you know, I was just not my normal self, just wasn't as energetic, and just not able to just perform and do daily things as I usually would. And it just affected me since then. And I think that's the first time I experienced that. And as a result, I end up visiting lots of clinics, and that was something that I kind of, when I look back now, in hindsight, I just think like if I'd just been a bit more aware, like we just paid more attention to just having a rest, um, the journey could have been so much better. You know, if I'd entertained a bit more uh, education about, you know, medicine and seeking more support and not being so stubborn, I probably wouldn't have ended up so run down and burning out.
Yeah. And and when was this? Like, what year was this that all of this was happening?
Well, that was around about that was 89, 90. I think there was a huge epidemic back then when I did my research, because I remember visiting Professor Ronald Penny back in St Vincent's Hospital here in Sydney, and he diagnosed me with anemia, chronic fatigue, and a few other things, and sent me to some different tests with Professor Byrne, and they did some peptic ulcer testing for my um, endoscopy, colonoscopy, and they found that I had peptic ulcers and anemia.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was in 1989, 90. And that was like a time where glandular fever, the Epstein-Barr virus, also known as the Epstein-Barr virus, it was a huge epidemic. I don't know if you remember a famous 1500-meter runner, 800-meter athlete by the name of Sebastian Coe from the United Kingdom. So he suffered from glandular fever, and that really stuffed him up, and it took him a really long time to get back. And even when you do get back, you just don't get back to your normal self. You don't have the same resilience as you once had, because your thyroid is so sluggish. But yeah, that was a really difficult time, a lonely time for me, and a
Yeah.
time where I kind of felt frustrated and alone, because my mates were out working, my mates were out surfing and doing whatever they're doing, and I was kind of forced to sit on the sideline and just rest up
Yeah.
and follow doctor's instructions.
And you have to follow those instructions as well, because they're the ones that are educated, and you sort of feel like you're on top of being alone. It's not knowing what's happening within your body as well, because at that time you didn't really know much about the health and wellness and the issues that you were going through. And I guess, what did you do about all of these symptoms? Like, did you know that they were all connected?
Yeah, it's really interesting. You know, obviously knowing now and looking back onto, as I said, the lack of education and awareness, and just exploring different avenues like I do now, with health and wellness. And I just know that whenever you have a complication, anything such as fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue, it's not just one symptoms, it's not just one thing that happens. It's a combination of various of things, and it could be sleep deprivation, it could be an apnea, it could be a variety of things that can lead to the diagnosis. And I said this has been such an educational thing, a very costly one, but something that has really opened up my eyes and living healthier. And like I said, I've never drunk, I don't smoke, I live a healthy life, and I guess I push my body too much and have learned and paid the price from doing so.
Yeah, definitely. So it sounds like a lot of things were happening all at once for you. And when somebody gets diagnosed with something like um, fibromyalgia, it's usually accompanied with other things? What other symptoms did you experience? What did the doctors recommend for you to do?
Yes, that's an interesting question, Nadia. Good question. But look, I did feel run down a lot of the time. Didn't matter how much sleep I got, I just didn't have the same energy that I wanted or that I needed. There were moments where I could go out in the day and go to the park, get some sunlight and all that sort of stuff. But I wasn't able to go for a run like I used to do or do workouts like I did before. However, yeah, it was just a difficult time, like for me, like being so active and then just all that taken away from me. It's almost like, yeah, what's going on, But like I said, I was diagnosed with anemia, chronic fatigue, glandular fever. It's also known as glandular fever, and yeah, the Professor Penny shared a couple of views on it, and one of those was that I just really had overworked my body and needed to just take a complete break. And that was just like the hardest thing, to have a break, because I was so accustomed to like waking up in the morning, going to the bakery, working in the bakery, going to college and studying. And look, by that stage, my pastry cooking apprenticeship had been finished, truly finished. So I was really keen to get my boxing career up and running, and I was really motivated, but it really kind of stopped me from doing what I wanted to do. And yeah.
Definitely. I think over the weekend I actually heard somebody say that, and this is a little bit off topic, but it does come back into this. And she said that she can't live without her antidepressants, but she can't keep doing what she's doing, even though it makes her depressive. But at the same time, she's so exhausted of doing the same things all the time. And somebody asked her, why don't you just give it up and do something different? And she said, I've invested so much into this career. This is what I wanted to do. And even though it doesn't make me happy, it's making me sick. And it just made me think about you. Like, you gave up your bakery career after so long. You just finished your apprenticeship. You worked so hard in that thing, and now you've got this disorder like fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue. Like, that would have been really hard on you, having to.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Look, I was diagnosed that the doctors basically said to me, you need to have 12 to 16 months off at least. Just have a break, have a complete break. And you know, I kept digging and asking questions because I was so keen to get back into things and get back to the norm. What I felt was the norm was probably not normal for someone else. But a few months down the track, when I came back and do a few more visits, it was recommended that I should undertake a sport that perhaps didn't require me to cut weight and like boxing does, and allow me to eat a little better and enjoy myself a little bit better. Not so much in alcohol or anything like that, because I never did that, but just not have to stress my body and myself to lose weight. And in 1993, I was able to get involved in a new sport. It was called competitive gymnastics aerobics, and I competed in that. I was fortunate enough to win my first competition, which was the Reebok Aerobic Championships here in Australia. And 3 weeks after that, I won the South Coast Championships and the Westpac Championships. That was my first professional event, and things were running really smoothly. And by then, I thought, "Wow, I'm over this. I don't. There's no more fatigue. There's no more. It's a completely different sport. The training is completely different. It's really sport specific. So when you do your skills training, it was basically an aerial, flexibility training, gymnastics training. There wasn't long runs or sessions like boxing was, but it was really strenuous physically. So, excuse me, especially with the gymnastics and the strength elements. Um, so the first 2 years was really cool. I was able to get gold medals at every championship that I competed in, and a silver medal in every championship that I competed in. They were all like international level events. I was competing against world champions, national champions, and I did really well. But it wasn't until, excuse me, the third year that I started feeling the pains in that come back again and the fatigue, and it was really affecting me. It was really affecting my ability to perform at a high level and to continue on doing my work as a pastry chef, early morning, working at the bakery, and then going out to 5 o'clock, finishing gymnastics at about 8 o'clock at night, 8:30 at night, and coming back home and having to wake up at 4 o'clock the next morning to go to the bakery. It was really hard. And I think looking back on that, the hardest thing is not getting good quality sleep, because the body needs quality sleep. And I know a lot of people suffering from chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia can probably relate to this. Sleep is the fuel to the body. It helps you reset from one day to the next. And if you lose that quality sleep one day, it may be okay for the following day, but after so many days, it will show. And naturally, your body will just become tired. And before you know it, you'll crash and burn out. And I guess that's what happened to me. So I learned to value sleep a lot. And at that stage, when I had to give up my aerobics career, that was just everything coming back again and me experiencing like deja vu again with the chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia, and then more testings, more peptic ulcers, uh, more blood tests, more visits to, you know, professors and uh, neurologists and stuff like that. So that was a really hard experience too. That was back in 1996. I was able to go full out for 3 years before I actually crashed again. And that was the last time I really felt it, you know?
Yeah, that's right. Seems so frustrating and tiring for you, especially with the fibromyalgia and the chronic fatigue. So I've spoken to a few people, a couple of clients of mine who have shared similar experience with their health and getting so far, and then they just crash and burn after that as well. Um, was there
Yeah, look,
a point that you felt helpless, like you could there was
yeah,
nothing you could do?
I did feel frustrated. And there were moments where I really felt flat and lonely, not only frustrated, but helpless in the point that I really felt motivated and empowered to educate myself on dealing with CFS, chronic fatigue syndrome, and fibromyalgia. And I almost like felt helpless because I was going to all these professors, neurologists, doctors, and practitioners seeking for answers in that. I mean, the last person I went to offered me naltrexone, and naltrexone is something that heroin addicts are prescribed when they've got withdrawal symptoms from the drug they've taken, and it helps kind of calm them down and balance them out, and it's a good helps you with pain in that. So that was prescribed to me for my fibromyalgia, and I remember going to St George Hospital, and on the way home, one of my trainers at the gym drove me there and he drove me back. Was I had some testings done, and I took one of the capsules that he gave me, naltrexone, and in the car as I was driving home, within about 10, 15 minutes, I just started feeling really dizzy and really kind of spaced out, and I just said, this can't be good for me. So I got back home and I rang the secretary, and she put me through to a specialist, and he said to me, look, take it a few more times and see how you feel. Sometimes this is what happens when you start taking these drugs. So I took it for another day and it just wasn't right for me. And from that point onwards, I just said, look, there's got to be some other alternative way, you know, for me to get well, to get over, and to just, there's got to be a better road for me to, you know, recover, put myself on into a recovery. And so, look, I started looking at all these health and alternative ways, and I think that was the biggest the first time where I started seeing some improvements, where I was able to immerse myself in all this education that I wasn't used to, like ice baths, meditation, and just doing all that I can, massage and all this other stuff, not just diet and nutrition, but so much more, to kind of make an effort to create a day for me that I was able to block time out. And in blocking time out, I was able to re-energize my body throughout the day to allow me to get through my day and do my work and feel like, wow, that's cool, you know. And that was the turning point where I was able to do that. And it wasn't until I was looking through and researching all these different avenues. Like, I think there was one stage when I was invited down to work with a practitioner who was teaching Feldenkrais. Her name was Rebecca Bushby, down at Bondi Beach. And she was teaching me biofeedback, and she was talking about alpha, beta, delta waves and being in a meditative state, and taking me through different things. Like Feldenkrais was a specialty, and that was like an awareness movement that was developed by the late Moshe Feldenkrais. And it's great for rehabilitation, especially if you've got injuries. And it's just an amazing form of human movement. And getting involved with that sort of stuff and just being exposed to so many new things along that, with that, I was just able to kind of understand that there is so much more to healing than just taking tablets or just having rest. And I think that's where it all began for me.
That's amazing. And I suppose there's a lot of things surrounding these abilities that you can function and have the feeling of achievement during the day as well, because as we've spoken in the past about how it doesn't distill a good feeling when you come home and you're annoyed at your family and you don't feel like you've had something, you don't feel like you've achieved anything during the day as well. So yeah. And we've also spoken about your morning routine and how that's helped you.
Look, yeah, that is, look, like I said, I was looking at like new ways and new things to implement into my day. And as I progressed and started feeling better and better, I was able to come up with a variety of things that I now practice religiously. And the morning routine is probably the most important thing that I do during the day. And that involves me waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I do my daily prayers, morning prayers, and then I go and have a cold shower. And it's only like a 2-minute shower. It's a cold shower. I come back and I meditate for probably about 15 minutes. And I specifically work on the Buteyko breathing method, and that is nasal breathing. I recently, a couple of years ago, I met a really good practitioner on the Buteyko breathing method. His name is David Pemberton. He's a breath coach, and he teaches the Buteyko breathing method, a method that was developed by Patrick McEwen originally. And it's all about nasal breathing and box breathing and putting yourself in a rest and digest mode, tapping into your parasympathetic nerve. And this is something that I really indulge in early in the morning. I do that when I meditate for 15 minutes. I do some yoga, some stretching. And after that, I get up, go into the kitchen. I usually make myself a warm lemon drink, and I drink that. And then after I've had that, I start journaling. While I'm journaling, I usually have a celery juice, or I eat fresh celery stems. And celery is really good for you. It's really healthy. It's great for your inflammation. It's a wonder food. And after that, I take my vitamins, my liquid vials, and once I'm finished my journaling, that's how I start my day. But that's something that I've done, and it's helped me develop structure throughout my day by journaling my sleep scores. So, and originally I used to wear an Aura ring, and an Aura ring is something that a lot of people have. It measures your ability to get deep REM sleep, and it gives you your sleep pattern throughout the night. It's usually connected to your iPhone, and you can read out the scores and the patterns of your sleep patterns during the night, how many times you woke up, how many times, and where you got deep REM sleep. Now, the Chinese have a really good understanding of this because they say at certain parts of the night when you wake up, your liver could be not functioning as well as it could be, your liver, your kidneys, and so forth. But the Oura Ring enabled me to measure my deep REM sleep and the quality of sleep that I got. I no longer use the Oura Ring, and I just go to sleep at night, and I usually wear a tape around my mouth, and that promotes nasal breathing, and that's been really effective. The studies that I've done for nasal breathing, and I recommend this for anybody suffering from chronic fatigue, because one of the misconceptions that we all have, and it wasn't until I discovered vertigo breathing and nasal breathing and its benefits, that our mouths should only be used to talk and eat. They shouldn't be used to breathing, because breathing through our nose gives us the potential of being able to have the breathing 30%, almost up to 30% better oxygenated air. Not only is it healthier for us, it's it's the functional way for us, for human beings, to breathe. And since undergoing these studies and delving into some different things that Dr. Mandel does and a few other people and practitioners and breathing coaches, I really believe that breath work is really important. So that's something that I've always incorporated in my morning routine. Even when I leave the house and go to the gym, I incorporate that before I work out, and that has really helped me get through my day. But once again, the really important thing is, Nadia, is to make an effort and to invest your time to put yourself in a rest and digest mode and tap into your parasympathetic state. Because here we are as a business owner, I'm speaking for myself, but I mean, like, even an office worker, a school teacher, anybody that works, whether you work for someone else or whether you work for yourself, you're consistently chasing your tail. You're always running around. You're in a synthetic state where you're rushing around, a state of flight or fight mode, and you're not recovering. You're just not getting that. You're not getting a chance to recover. That is why, especially for people who suffer from chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia or any other autoimmune disease, it is important to take 10 minutes out of your day to go down to the park and get some grounding if you can, to do your breath work. I mean, I'll show you. I'll do something as simple as this. And I got this from Dr. Mundell and a few other practitioners that I did some research with. This is a bottle of water. I usually drink a little bit of water, and I'd usually hold the water in my mouth and I'd gargle it. And that'll help me reset my vagus nerve. And I do that for probably about 45 seconds to a minute. And I'll just gargle. I don't do it completely out loud. I just gargle normally. And there's so many different exercises. Another one, another way of resetting your vagus nerve is humming. And all these little tricks, you could be humming like for a minute while you're driving your car. It could be a famous tune you might like, a song that you like, and you just hum that song. All these little tricks have become such an important part of my day, and you don't have to spend hours doing it. You can do it while you're driving your car. And they've all helped me get through my day and turn up as the best version I can be on that day.
Yeah, definitely. And we've spoken about this a couple of times as well, because if you're busy doing everything you can to achieve results, but you're not actually giving yourself that moment, like that breath. And this is stuff that's been going for years, centuries. Like in some cultures, gargling is just something you get up and you do, and drinking water, but breathing is something that we're forgetting to do. We're literally not breathing naturally, and we're not doing the things that we need to do to rest and digest, like we said before. So Yeah. I
It's
guess,
just like, do you remember Dr. Mark Levi? He told us Roger Federer is probably one of the best, if not the greatest tennis player that ever lived. You know, and he talks about Roger Federer having a breathing coach and a sleep coach traveling around the world with him. And when he does do tournaments, he makes sure he always gets 12 hours of sleep.
yeah,
And it's always nasal breathing. So if that guy at that level is doing that, it's got to be some good value in it. And yeah, and I mean, like, as you know, we interviewed Dr. Mark Levi, and the stuff that he talks about sleep deprivation and the common problem that society has with ongoing sleep disorders, and that is just amazing.
yeah, the blue light and the constant stimulation and the anti-therapy day, what's really important to us. We should really get Dr. Mark, our beautiful friend, um, Dave Pemberton, back on one night, and so we can have a little banter about the importance of breathing and what we need to do.
That'd be amazing. I'd love to have them both on Zoom session. So informative. But you know, like whether you suffer from an autoimmune disease or not, nasal breathing is something that we must all learn to do. And this is why I brought the topic up, why it's so important to implement these education to young kids, whether it be from the age of, the earlier the better, from the age of 8 onwards, in educating to breathe, like do nasal breathing and you know, share it at schools and that, and providing ongoing information because it's it's a huge problem. It's a huge problem that leads to people not getting good quality sleep, and as a result, they become run down, stressed. And as we know, all these things such as stress, anxiety, etc., leads to a lot of different autoimmune conditions like a weakened immune, you know, and cardiac problems, etc. You know,
Yeah, definitely. I was actually speaking with a pharmacy, well, a chemist pharmacist, and she asked me what I do, and I said I'm a coach that works with work-life balance. And just out of nowhere, she said, well, you need to come and do some training with some of us pharmacists because we all have irritable bowel syndrome from all the stress that we got that we go like we put ourselves under. So that's a whole new market because obviously the health industry is really suffering at the moment. If they can go back to the basics, like the Buteyko breathing method and breathing through the nasal passage rather than the mouth, and
mouth.
yeah, definitely just stepping back and having those smaller breaks and just to avoid the pressure that we put on ourselves, and they can have some self satisfaction of what they actually achieve each day.
I
But
think a lot of it comes down to Nadia, is modern living. It's put our bodies and has rewired our minds completely out of whack. In the olden times, you know, cavemen used to sleep on the floor that was high in nutrients, high in energy magnetic fields, and as a result, our bodies radiated good energy. They were high with energy magnetic fields within different areas. Today, you know, a lot of us are carrying so many different complications in our bodies, whether it be autoimmune diseases, whether it be breathing problems, whatever it may be. And, you know, I mean, like, I delved deeper into integrated health and I started improvising and incorporating cold showers, ice baths. Now, I know for most chronic fatigue sufferers and fibromyalgia sufferers, people say that is the worst thing for you. Now, for years and years, I thought, wow, this can't be good for me. That's why I'm never going to do it. But it's the same thing with uh, explosive breathing like Wim Hof. I don't believe that's such an great thing for people suffering from chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia. For myself, I benefit much more from doing the Petite breathing method, box breathing and nasal breathing than the Wim Hof style breathing. So I naturally would gravitate to that and I would recommend that. But everybody's different. This is not one shoe fits all. But having a cold shower early in the morning to me was almost like rebooting a computer, and it was resetting my vagus nerve once again. So I was always throughout the day, from the moment I woke up, throughout the day, whenever I got a chance to rest, like midday, I come home after I trained the people at the gym, I'd come back home about 11 o'clock and I'd have like an hour's nap at 12. And just to give me a little energy boost to get up, meditate again, reset my vagus nerve, and take off to work again. And that allowed me to show up as best I can. And the real interesting thing is, like when we finish today, I'd like to, just before we finish, I'd like to share a few things that I believe that I've written a few points down that I believe some of our viewers could benefit from, especially if they're experiencing chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia. But bear in mind, like, I'm not a trained doctor or a specialist, but I'm just sharing from my experience. And as I said, one shoe does not fit all, but this is just coming from a person who's experienced this condition for 34 years and who struggled through it for a long, long time. And it's not until recently that I've started feeling a lot better. I started feeling I was able to do certain things. And I guess the biggest thing, the biggest breakthrough, and if I could share something with everybody, if they could take one gold nugget from tonight's view, is the ability to find your baseline, because your baseline is the ability to find what allows you to get through your day comfortably, effortlessly, and without feeling taxed, without feeling pains and lethargic and run down and like you're going backwards. And look, I'll be honest with you, there are times and there are moments where I lose my baseline, where like my son plays soccer, so I take him out on the weekend. So we may go out for 6 hours and I come back and it's a long day. I know that night I've got to have good quality sleep. I've got to do my night routine, get to sleep. When I wake up in the morning, I've got to meditate and I understand that. I understand the recovery process. If you're aware of that and you're mindful of, your environment and stuff like that, that's that's you're halfway there, you know. And most of the time, Nadia, I think it has a lot to do with the environment around us. And like you said, having a good night routine, keeping lights out of the bedrooms, keeping away from computers and noises and stuff like that. I mean, like also the room temperature when you go to sleep at night. We all know that, and I was going to say this at the end of the session, that the body only needs to reduce its temperature by 2 degrees for you to fall asleep. And it only needs to heat up 2 degrees for you to wake up. So, it's important to do certain things like keeping the room cold and keep all electronics out of your room and create that environment that is conducive to you getting a good quality sleep at night.
Definitely being aware of your surroundings and the environment that you place yourself in. And there are so many kids now that can't sleep without a TV on or radios and that sort of stuff. And they're not aware of the unconscious mind actually absorbing everything. So that's another way that kids and adults, especially people in their mid-30s that have got a lot of things happening and they're learning new things that are happening in their workplace as well, that when you're listening to the radio at nighttime, not only do you have that noise like that, just like that, or a disturbing noise, there's blue light in the room. You might not be able to see something, you've still got that blue light. You've got that dark or the black light, so they call it the black balloon, and it's all generating energy in your body. Some people are reporting now that they'll have a dream and it's so real that they think it's in their real life. So people are actually getting psychotic episodes because of, their lack of sleep and their lack of breath and
I, it was something that I was just going to bring up, Nadia. It's interesting that you say that. I think your waking state equals your sleep state. And when I say that is, you've obviously heard of the old term tired bodies and restless minds, how do I put something in another form to you? Is vivid dreams that people have, thoughts that they take to bed. Oh, well, so and so at work has done the wrong thing by me. I'm not going to get the wage rise. I'm not going to get the promotion that I need. Or I broke up with so and so. She was such a good girlfriend. When will I get someone like that again? So many things that affect our lives, whether it be bills to pay, finance, health complications, um, worries, troubles, anything that may stimulate or entertain our mind, whether we like it or not. When we go to bed, we take that with us. That is why it is so important throughout the day to block time, clear the energy and recharge your batteries, regardless of what you do for work, regardless of what you do. Even if you're unemployed and you're sitting at home doing nothing, you're probably stressed being unemployed. So you need time to rest and digest and just clear the energy. Set some time out to look for work and then set some time out to clear the energy and recharge your batteries. Because, all these submodalities and these subconscious thought really affect your ability to heal. They really limit you from healing. And like I've written a couple of points down and I'd like to share them with you, Nadia, and share with our audience tonight. And I know like chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia are such complex autoimmune diseases because they really don't have a cure. There is no cure for them. It's almost a mystery illness. You got one that you're constantly tired, run down, burnt out. And sometimes, in most cases, it doesn't matter how much sleep you have, if the environment is not conducive to you and you're not following the correct steps for yourself, because everybody's different. So I can't specifically say that my situation is the same as everybody else's, but there are similarities. We can all agree on that. But I really think that everybody needs to make an effort to support their immune system. And in doing so, what I'm saying is basically, as I reiterated before, keeping away from toxic chemicals, sugars, away from sprays, creams, anything that is toxic that has got lead in it or metals. The second thing that I believe that we can all benefit, or people suffering from this condition can benefit from, is to consistently flush their lymphatic system and to be well hydrated and avoid being dehydrated. Also, really pay attention and focus on your mental health. By what I mean by that is like really, regardless of the state you're in and the position you are in your life, make an effort to be social. Don't close yourself off. I know for a while I sat at home and I did nothing, and that was the worst thing I could do. A sanitary state is not going to give you anything. Get out, meet some friends, enjoy a little bit of laughter, enjoy a bit of socializing. That is really going to benefit. You're really going to benefit from it mentally, and your health will improve too. The other thing is, was a big mistake that I really did, and I over medicate. Go out and buy all these vitamins like vitamin C. I was anemic, and like I think it only took me a couple of months to take some ferrogradimins, and I was able to get my iron levels back up, and that's all I really needed. But I think some people over medicate themselves. They overkill the situation, and they become part of the problem.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, as we spoke about before, really pay attention to getting good quality sleep. And what I mean by that is, like you said, keep all the electronics out of the room, eliminate blue lights, eliminate noise, set an environment that is conducive to get good quality deep REM sleep, and aim to get at least 8 hours of sleep a night. If it means you going early and missing out something on television, that so be it. Your sleep is more important than anything. And at the same time, the temperature in the room is really important. And yeah, that's having a night routine where you want to do some box breathing before you go to bed, um, listen to some soft music, and then turn it off and go to sleep is another method that a lot of people use. The other thing that I think is really personal to me is to and I'm not saying this is going to work for everyone, but what has become really effective for me is I had my cortisol levels tested many years ago, about 3 years ago, I should say, or more. And they showed when my cortisol levels were spiking up and they were coming down. And every day now, I run my day, I live my day, I run my work around my cortisol levels. This allows me to facilitate all my training sessions and the work that I do around my cortisol level. And when they're down, I come home, I have something to eat, I get a little siesta, midday break, and then as they come back up around 1:30, 2 o'clock, I go back to work, and then they start dropping off at 4 o'clock. And by about 5, 6 o'clock, I'm already on my way home. I'm not spending all the days at the gym till 9 o'clock at night like I used to do. And that's just something that you need to be mindful of when you're running your own business and you have a condition like chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a few more, Nadia. There's the diet and nutrition. Obviously, too much sugar, alcohol, coffee, processed foods, and that really not good for you. All these things with different adjectives and that just not healthy for the body, and are going to stimulate a poor response in your body, um, and will affect your ability to heal. And whether you've got an autoimmune disease or not, this is really vital. You are what you eat. As I said in the morning, the celery juice, the lemon water. For I think 16 months, I followed the medical medium and I became like a vegan. So I wasn't eating any meat, and this meant like I was only eating grains and stuff like that. And like as they say, different strokes for different folks. I loved the diet, but what I did find, because I was eating so many carbs and grains and stuff like that, it was producing more inflammation in my body.
Yeah.
And I now am going back to eating chicken. I don't eat too much red meat, but very little every now and then. But I feel a lot better. And I think part of that is I'm still following a lot of what the medical medium was setting in place, apart from not being vegan. Like I'm still juicing. I do a blueberry, cilantro, spinach, banana, mango, coconut water smoothie that I make every day, and it's a really healthy detoxing smoothie. And apart from that, there is moments in the day where I probably eat like 4 or 5 times a week at the most, chicken or meat. But that's just what works for me. It may not work for everybody.
Mm.
Um, the other thing is that I think is really important, Nadia, and this is point number 8, and that's biohacking and be able to implement things um, into your life that you're not used to. And when I talk about um, biohacking, I'm not just talking about intermittent fasting, because a lot of, especially for people who suffer from a chronic fatigue condition, intermittent fasting might be the worst thing that you can do, you know, because your body needs to be hydrated, your body needs to be have all the nutrients in that it needs. But at the same time, when I'm talking about biohacking, I'm talking about the way we are wired. Uh, it could be things that we become accustomed to, like drinking coffee, like uh, getting onto the computer first thing in the morning, and not indulging in like meditative state. There's a guy on Mind Valley that talks about the ability to stay in your alpha status state for as long as possible in the morning. And so meditating and doing all these things that help you tap into your parasympathetic state and being in rest digest mode really help you in the long run throughout your day. And that's something that I really truly believe has really worked for me, and it's worked miracles. Like I wrote a few notes down earlier on about this, and they were the 8 points that came to mind. There's a lot of things I do throughout my day, Nadia, but I think what's really complex about this condition is that there is no specific cure for it, and every person will differ from one to another.
Yeah, definitely. And what works for one person can't work for another person. It has to be very specific to your needs and your reflection. So I guess we can talk about all of these things over and over again in so many different ways and so many different details. What would be your biggest takeaway or recommendation for people suffering from CFS-FM?
I think the biggest takeaway that I've learned is make an effort, be brave to step out of your box, to step out of your comfort zone. And what I mean by that is not go out for a run or go out for a long swim or a bike ride or anything like that, but to go and seek help, seek professional help. And I know I did that for a long time and it didn't work. Like I was asking all the wrong questions to all these people, but I was waiting for some miracle to happen. But the moment I went out and started doing some research about blocking time out for myself, getting some grounding, working on my mental health in the sense of like clearing the energy and not being stressed, running around chasing my tail like I did at work all the time. Because quite realistically, the work that you do today is only finished for the day. It's always going to be work for tomorrow. So work's never finished. And that's something that my mother always taught me when I was doing my apprenticeship as a pastry chef. But doing this research, do your research, go and look at alternative medicine. Like when I say that, I'm not talking about vitamins and just supplements and stuff like that. But the benefits of meditation, the benefits of breathing, nasal breathing, the benefits of even ice baths, the benefits of having cold showers, the benefits of supplementing your diet in the morning with celery juice, lemon water. And the biggest thing is, I think, is to kind of understand that your body is your temple and treat it the way you want to be treated, the way, preserve it the way it needs to be preserved, because you only get one body. And, it's not as if you can go back and get another one. And, build yourself up, build your immune up, and, keep away from toxic energies, not just toxic materials and stuff like that. I think a lot of the problems that people face today is they expose themselves to toxic environments, whether it be at work, whether it's the noise, whether it's a relationship, whether it's anything toxic that may be. And that can lead to anger, frustration, stress. And as you and I both know, one of the biggest problems in saying all that it leads to a weakened immune. And a weakened immune results in complications like chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, central sleep apnea, and the list goes on. And it can go as far as cardiac problems and even heart attacks. So that's just my view on this experience and journey that I've had with CFS and fibromyalgia.
Yeah, and that's amazing. And thank you so much for sharing all of that with us. And I'd love to share some more resources. So have you got any fun websites, books, anything that you like to refer to?
Yeah, there are a few good people that I like to refer to. There's a lady there's a lady on YouTube that I constantly go and listen to, and she's really good. I love listening to the Andrew Huberman, who is always amazing with all the information that he provides on chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia. But there's one particular lady that I like listening to. I forget her name. There it is. What's her name again? There's one particular lady from the US. I forget her name, but she's really she's been amazing in her ability to. Her name is Dr. Andrea Furlan, and she educates people about chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia. She runs her own Zoom sessions, and she's helped so many people. But other than that, I think everybody's different. They're gonna relate to one speaker better than another, whether she's male or female, and it's personal. But I think going out to do your research and just listening to whatever information you can get and listen to it, because what I may implement in my routine may not benefit you. But I've tried things that have not benefited me, like Wim Hof, and I'm not saying Wim Hof is not good, because there's a lot of people that will benefit from it. But from my personal experience, it really is a personal journey, and when you learn to embrace it and step outside the box and try these new things and interventions, I think it is a really big step to you getting healthy and recover.
Definitely. I think I've heard you recently say something like, don't sit in your thoughts as well. So you learn new things, learn as much as you can about what you're feeling, and seek professional help. So if you have a leaky gut problem, go see somebody who's a professional in that field. If you have a movement problem, go speak to somebody who specializes in movement. Nutrition, see a nutritionist. Brain, body, spirituality, whatever that professional is. Make sure that you're seeing and learning as much as you can. So I always love learning from you, and I look forward to learning from more and more from you as well as we keep doing these lives. And as I speak about that, so in October we're running the Footprints retreat. So this week we had that on our calendar. So I'll put up the details about the retreat coming up in October, and we are open to holding corporate retreats and specialized retreats as well.
That's correct.
Looking forward to getting you down to Adelaide. I've been doing some
I'd
background.
love to come to Adelaide. I'd love to, for a couple of days, we could run a retreat there. I'd love
Yeah,
to do that. Set up the dates and we'll do it. I'll come
yeah,
along. Yeah,
definitely. So next week you'll be speaking with me about my
correct.
background in work-life balance, and it sort of ties in with the exhaustion that we've been speaking about tonight. So I'm looking forward to sharing what I have with you. And the week after, we'll be speaking with a relationship and couples therapist, Lucy Abrahams. So
That's correct.
for those people that are interested in that topic, please feel free to send us a message or like and share the content that we've shared so far. And we look forward to working with you all again.
Great. Thanks for having us, Nadia. Take care, everyone. Look forward to seeing you next week. Have an amazing evening and have a good night. We'll talk to you soon.
And talk to you soon.